So Dennis on the right, Bird on the left, wait for the lights to go out, and then the race will get underway, and that, I think, might be a jump start from Nick Cassidy. We'll have to wait for the official decision, but it certainly looks as though he went maybe before the lights went out. Down towards the first corner, and there's a bit of contact. I think Jean-Eric Vergne's gone into the back of someone, and Sergio Sete Câmara, the Brazilian, has managed to get through into second place. What a brilliant start for the man from Belo Horizonte. So Jake Dennis out in front. It is second place then for the Dragon car as they come across the line. This is the timing line now. Someone's gone wide out of the final corner. That's Jean-Eric Vergne. The Audi of Lucas de Grassi's in fourth. Bird from second has dropped back. But there is Jake Dennis in the bottom left in this 12-minute race. Now they have to use attack mode twice in this race for 90 seconds apiece. So there's going to be plenty of strategy to come over the course of this. Oh, and Brown goes Vergne. Jean-Eric Vergne spins, dropping down the hill, and a bit of an unsafe rejoin, it has to be said. Just clipped the back, I think, of Sebastian Buemi. Norman Natto's got in front of him too, and that's frustrating for Vergne because he managed to, well, he sort of caused the chaos at the start and then subsequently managed to avoid it. Here's Jake Dennis at the bottom of the hill, though, under pressure from Sergio Sete Câmara, who has made an impressive start to this race, and he's tucked right up behind Dennis as they come through turns 16 and 17 and up the hill towards the chicane at 18 and 19. And Dennis has a good margin. This is the start line, but the timing line is around the next couple of corners. Still yellow flags out there. I think Nick Cassidy is down in the runoff area, so Cassidy won't be taking much more part in this race. I think his race would have been scuppered anyway because of the drive-through penalty. But there is the Brazilian in the bottom left, race winner in Formula 2. Nearly won the Macau Grand Prix a few years ago before crashing at the final corner, but he's putting Jake Dennis under a lot of pressure into turn one. Back end gets a little loose as he gets on the throttle, and that actually allows Dennis to break away a tiny bit. 10 minutes remaining. Sete Câmara, who was very impressive in his Formula E debut in Berlin, out-qualified his teammate Nico Müller at Dragon in 4 of the 6 races that we had in the German capital to round out season 6, and he's very much trying to put Dennis under pressure. Not very neat and tidy down the bobsleigh run though. Here's Sebastian Buemi meanwhile, who's in 4th place up ahead of Norman Natto. The Swiss there from Eigel up against the Frenchman behind in the black and white Venturi from Cannes, and you can see the concentration on Buemi's face. Now in the Race at Home Challenge, he didn't start off particularly strongly. He's got 2 kids, and so wasn't really putting a huge amount of time and effort into it. But as the racing progressed, he got better and better and better and finished with a really strong result in the Race at Home Challenge in Berlin. But Natto is on the inside now as they come down into the chicane. A bit of a wheel bang, and Natto gets through. Very nice, neatly executed move from the Frenchman, and he's now up into 4th place, and he'll try and close down on Lucas de Grassi. Jake Dennis sets the fastest lap of the race, a 1 minute 16.962. Sergio Sete Câmara in second. Interesting that these 2 teams are very strong in the Formula E Accelerate Championship as well. BMW entering this at the top of the standings, with Kevin Siggy having had a win and 2 third places, but also Dragoner fairly strong, with Freddie Rasmussen picking up 2 second places in the last 2 races. And again, there's a Dragon in second place, although Sete Câmara has dropped back a little bit, but if he can make this stick, that'll be 3 seconds in a row for the Venturi team. Oh, Nick de Vries getting out of shape. He was almost on the back of Jean-Eric Vergne in the DS Techeetah, but the Mercedes EQ driver making that little error on the run down the hill, and all of a sudden he finds himself 2 seconds or so back from Jean-Eric Vergne. On board with de Vries. And Jake Dennis activates his attack mode then. So the race leader is the first driver to activate his attack mode. He stays in front of Sergio Sete Câmara still though. De Grassi activates his. He's in a fairly comfortable position, De Grassi. 5 seconds clear of Natto. De Vries, I think, is thinking about taking attack mode. He is. And so does Natto, Buemi and Vergne, and De Vries there. So Sergio Sete Câmara is the driver slightly out of sequence when it comes to using first attack mode. Sims is activating it as well. Cassidy is now out of the race. De Vries has got ahead of Buemi and up to 6th position then. So Buemi making a bit of mistake out there potentially. Andre Losser in the Porsche activates his attack mode too. Here is De Vries, and he's right on the back of Jean-Eric Vergne actually. So he's got ahead of Sebastian Buemi. Now he's on the back of Vergne. Oh, but he just clips the wall. Back end gets loose as he starts the run down the hill. How far behind is Buemi? The answer is just under a second. Down to turn 14. This right-hander here. Then on the power, he's very neat and tidy, isn't he? Down through that sequence of corners. Sergio Sette Camara now activates his attack mode. So he's going to be in it while Jake Dennis is out of it. So that extra power that he's going to have may pay dividends. Oh, loose wheel out there on the circuit. So someone has had an accident at the final corner. It might well have been Sam Bird because he's now a lap down, isn't he? So Bird perhaps in trouble. De Vries through the chicane. Nato has got ahead of De Grassi as well. So Norman Nato up into third place, De Grassi down into fourth position. So a good move out there from the Frenchman. They're all out of attack mode now, so Sergio Sette Camara, oh, and wide goes Buemi. Very wide out of the final corner, and here comes De Vries. At the inside of Jean-Eric Vergne, big lock-up, down into one, but he gets the move done. Good, neat, tidy work from Nick De Vries. And now the next driver on his radar is going to be Lucas De Grassi up in fourth position. The 2019 Formula 2 champion. Now, of course, oh, and there into the wall goes Jean-Eric Vergne. We're on board with Buemi here, and that is going to make the car very difficult to control. You won't be able to see the damage, but there is damage to these cars when they hit the wall, and some of them have been a little too close to comfort. You can see how much Vergne's car is weaving, so I think he has had quite a bit of a hit, and he hits the wall again, coming into 16 and 17. So does Buemi, and I think they're really struggling with the car here, and I think De Vries is out of shape in front. Nick De Vries and Vergne, and a spin for Vergne on the straight. He must have picked up a lot of damage, and that might be the end of the Frenchman's race. Nato and De Grassi enter their second attack mode. But meanwhile, all the chaos behind, and Jake Dennis is bossing this one. Very impressive junior career. He impressed the BMW I Andretti Motorsport team with a German touring car test in the DTM over the last couple of years. And they decided to promote him to the Formula E team. And here he is now, rewarding that with leading the Formula E Accelerate race for the real world racers. Sergio Sette Camara in second position, the Venturi of Nato in third. So here's what happened to Vergne. Does he have a collision here with De Vries? No, you can see the car's just bent. He can't keep it in a straight line, Jean-Eric Vergne, so he's hit the wall heavily somewhere earlier on. Jake Dennis, meanwhile, enters his second attack mode, 7.7 seconds clear of Sergio Sette Camara. Sette Camara activates his second attack mode now, but this is absolutely commanding stuff from Jake Dennis. Bird is out of the race, as we presumed earlier. Jean-Eric Vergne, I think, is out of the race as well and is parked at turn 1. But no such trouble for Jake Dennis there in the bottom left as he starts the run down the hill. Sette Camara still second, Nato third. De Vries has made his way up to fourth place and is now in attack mode, so we'll see whether the Mercedes driver can get up ahead of Nato. If he finishes here, this might be enough to promote Mercedes up into fourth in the team standings, in the Formula E Accelerate standings. So we'll keep an eye on Nick De Vries' progress. Here is Sergio Sette Camara running in second position. 7 seconds back from Dennis, but 23 seconds ahead of Norman Nato. So despite a poor qualifying, really, Sergio Sette Camara started in 10th position as he simses it through turns 16 and 17. Big slide for the Brazilian, but yeah, qualified down towards the back of the order. But as soon as he got up into second place with the chaos at the start, he hasn't looked back. Hasn't looked at the apex at turn 18, clearly, but nevertheless, still a fairly commanding drive, this. We go on board with him now. Youngest driver in the Formula E field. Through the right-hander of turn 21. Steering wheel looks fairly straight as he comes down. There is the yellow flag, so yeah, I think Vergne has parked it. Here's Tom Blomqvist, meanwhile, closing in on Andre Lotterer in the Porsche. So the Porsche is there, then it's the Neo of Blomqvist there. So those two battling over 7th position, which is worth 6 points to whichever team gets it. And both Neo and Porsche come into this race tied on points, on 20 in the team standings in Formula E Accelerate. So whoever finishes ahead will move ahead in the championship. As Blomqvist gets onto the brakes into 18 and 19, you can see how much he must have had a bit of damage as well, because he's really kind of wrestling with the car on the straights. As the British driver comes through the final corner at turn 21. Dennis, though, is really commanding this one. I think is about to start his final lap of the race. Coming into the final corner at turn 21. Just one more lap to go here for Jake Dennis. 6.5 seconds clear of Sergio Sette Camara. It's been metronomically consistent. Through turns 3, 4 and 5, and then starting the run down the hill. Here's Lotterer. Looks as though he's managed to shake the attentions of Tom Blomqvist now. And actually isn't too far behind Alexander Sims. Might be a little too much to make up in these closing stages. But he has managed to get within about 3 seconds or so. And you can see how much he's managed to drop Blomqvist at the same time. There goes Sims. And we're on board with Lotterer. Into the chicane. Through the right-hand kink at 20. Here's Jake Dennis, though, meanwhile. 10 seconds left on the clock, so this is the final lap of the race for Jake Dennis and BMW. Kevin Siggy has picked up 3 podium finishes for BMW in Formula E Accelerate. He won the last race in Berlin, and BMW are going to win the next round as well, because Jake Dennis, out across the line, takes the checkered flag and wins the driver's race in Formula E Accelerate in Diriyah. Absolutely dominant drive from Dennis. Sergio Sette Camara will finish in 2nd place, but what a drive from that man.
Wow, man, you almost destroyed my race.
Sorry, man, I didn't see.
Back markers, huh? P1.
Now, it's obviously your debut season to Formula E. You just said it was your first time actually doing that lap. And look, you've come out on the top.
Yeah, first
Happy with
race,
that?
first win.
Yeah?
I just need to do it in real life now. Yeah, first time I've ever driven the Formula E simulator, obviously here. And yeah, I think it was a bit new to all of us. I could hear everyone crashing. I could hear Lucas complaining next to me. So yeah, it was obviously good fun, nice to have a win. So yeah, I was pleasantly surprised.
And here's a look at the results then after that race for the real-world drivers. Jake Dennis taking the victory, 7.4 seconds clear of Sergio Sette Camara. Norman Nato completing the podium for Venturi. Vern, Bird and Cassidy all failing to finish the race. But a really strong performance for Jake Dennis and the BMW I Andretti Motorsport team mean that they extend their lead at the top of the Formula E Accelerate team standings. 25 points clear now of Rocket Venturi, and they're building up quite the margin over Dragon Penske Autosport, who are in 3rd place. All 12 teams now have scored points in the series so far.